Hello and welcome back to the channel for another Doctor Who video. So it's been a pretty mad week for Doctor Who fans. Obviously we had the Power of the Doctor, we had the new information about the 60th anniversary, we had a new wave of B&M figures announced, the new logo on the same day. This weekend, just gone as well actually, I was at the BFI Time Meddler screening. The day before that I met David Tennant. I saw him in Good, the theatre show he's currently in at the Harold Pinter Theatre. I also watched Doctor Who Am I, the new documentary about the TV movie, and Matthew Jacobs, the writer of the TV movie. So yeah, it's been a pretty mad week for Doctor Who, and a lot of the things I just mentioned I have covered already on the channel, so go and check out those videos if you haven't already. Some of the more recent stuff like the BFI and David Tennant meeting him and stuff I might cover in future videos. I haven't quite decided yet, but one thing I definitely did want to cover, because it had kind of just like slipped under the radar really, is all this new information we've got about the 60th anniversary. Now obviously I've discussed David Tennant's return and what I thought of that. I'd even discussed it prior to it happening because of all the rumours and stuff. I discussed it on many occasions, and I even spoke about it on the radio as well, BBC Radio Sheffield, so again go and listen to that if you haven't already. But I haven't yet discussed the trailer we got for the 60th, this very brief sort of first glimpse teaser for the 3 specials, which we now know to be airing in November of next year, presumably as like a sort of mini Children of Earth or Flux style miniseries, either over 3 nights or 3 Saturdays or Sundays or whatever. And we also have some new promo pics of the 10th Doctor and Donna and Neil Patrick Harris, his character, whoever that is, and Ncuti of course as well, which sort of correspond with the shots and with the footage we've seen in the trailer. So I'll be discussing both of those in today's video, starting off with a trailer breakdown and then moving on to the promo pics and just generally sort of looking at what we can glean from all this new information, because obviously it is still quite a long time away and we haven't got loads of information, but this trailer does sort of confirm a couple of bits and pieces that we sort of speculated or knew about already from the location filming, as well as revealing one or two interesting other bits and pieces as well. So we begin with this lovely shot of the TARDIS materialising at night in Camden Market, which of course was one of the most prominent locations from the location filming, maybe even the first location I think that they filmed at for the 60th, because of course all the filming has now taken place for these 3 specials. It sort of started in May sort of time, around at the time we got the announcements of Ncuti Gatwa being the next Doctor, or the 15th Doctor now we know him to be, and David Tennant and Catherine Tate returning as well. And then like the filming I think started the following week, and there was loads of stuff going around. I did a video about it at the time, but basically, in short, in summary, we had the TARDIS there, we had David in his new outfits, we had Catherine Tate as Donna, we had Bernard Cribbins there, we had Sylvia Noble as well, and Sean Temple Noble, or Sean Temple, or whatever you want to call him, Donna's husband from the end of time. We had Yasmin Finney, of course, as presumably their daughter as well. So the whole sort of noble family was in attendance, and the Doctor as well, and the TARDIS, yeah. And it's really lovely now to see a proper shot of that filming and of that location in nice, high quality and stuff, because so many of the photos we got out of those days when they were filming in Camden were just very sort of low res, snatches of here and there of David Tennant or whatever, very blurry pictures, understandably because of the security in place and stuff, and they didn't want anything to get out, if they could help it. But yeah, it's really, really lovely to see this, because I've actually visited the location since myself as well. When I went to the Abominable Snowman BFI event back in September, the day after that, so I had some time to spare, so I thought I might as well go up to those locations and see what they're like. And yeah, it's a really interesting place actually, Camden Market. I hadn't been there before, and yeah, I managed to suss out all the places they filmed that we at least know of, at least. So I managed to find this spot, where the TARDIS lands, and get a sort of photo which hopefully matches up with where the TARDIS is in this shot. To the best of my knowledge, it was roughly there. I kind of studied the images and stuff that we had at that time. But yeah, lovely to see this. The one thing I will say as well that I'm sure probably a lot of other people might have had seeing this go out on TV for the first time. The lights going around the sort of the shop fronts on the left-hand side and the sort of shrubbery, it very, very briefly did kind of give me the impression that, oh my god, is this like a Christmas special? Is this Christmas lights, like Christmas trees and stuff? But no, obviously that's not the case, and there were loads of rumours, about there being some kind of festive special in this upcoming festive period. Obviously that's not come to pass, and it is just like the lights and stuff that is there, in real life. Like if you go to the location, like I did, they have those lights there all the time, like throughout the summer, or throughout all seasons basically, not just at Christmas or whatever. But yeah, even so, I kind of saw that on the TV, and just in the heat of the moment thought, maybe this could be a Christmas themed thing, but no, it's not, alas. Then we have David Tennant, the 14th Doctor, sort of stepping out the TARDIS, opening the door and kind of leaning out, and presumably at the same location, because I think the only other places we sort of saw the TARDIS on location were Bristol, and that was maybe about it in terms of the public stuff. But of course, they could have gone to a different location that we didn't know about, that wasn't publicised. But yeah, I would sort of assume that this is, it kind of corresponds to that first shot. We get that shot first, then we have him sort of opening the door and leaning out, and he lands in Camden Market. Maybe as like one of the opening scenes of the very first episode. Maybe that's where he lands, straight after the regeneration stuff, and then he meets Donna and everything sort of gets going there. And we've got the line of dialogue as well over the top. I don't know who I am anymore, which is very interesting, because obviously, we don't know how this has happened in terms of this sort of regeneration, how he's regenerated his clothes as well, how he's, the Doctor's got back their old face, all this mad stuff going on. And yes, it's kind of reminiscent as well of like the whole thing with the 13th Doctor of the timeless child, how her identity was kind of put into doubt by all those revelations and stuff, and she wasn't kind of sure of who she was and wanted answers to those questions. So it'll be interesting to see how this compares, with David Tennant with the 14th Doctor, whether it's kind of playing with similar ideas there, or, perhaps it'll be something completely different, but it does kind of sound similar, based, on that line of dialogue. Then we have this shot from the Bristol filming of like chaos in these streets and just, everything, like litter everywhere, bits and pieces, rubble, people running around like left, right and centre, and the Doctor sort of there turning to face someone who we'll see in the next shot and talk about it in the next shot as well. But I don't know about this, whether it's meant to be Bristol. I wouldn't have thought it's meant to be Bristol. I would have thought Bristol is doubling up here, for London or whatever. In fact, I think even if memory serves me right, there was like London stuff, London souvenirs, trinkets and like market stalls and things on location for the Bristol filming that took place here. Because there was also some filming which took place in some other streets nearby in Bristol, like the old part of the city, which was definitely meant to be a period setting. But no, this is quite clearly meant to be like a modern day thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's meant to be London and it's meant to tie in with like the Camden stuff. Maybe he lands in Camden first, then like catches a taxi or whatever to the streets of London and sees all this carnage, all this stuff going on. But yeah, a very cool shot, and the scale of this with the number of extras running about and the graffiti and everything and all this stuff on the streets. Very, very chaotic, very, very exciting, kind of apocalyptic kind of feel to this. And the Doctor just kind of standing there in the midst of everything, kind of trying to work out what's going on and looking really kind of shocked and anxious and surprised. Then we have Neil Patrick Harris in his top hat and get-up and his tux and everything, sort of waving at the Doctor, again from that same shoot. We saw pictures of this, both an official picture or two that was released on the social media channels like Instagram and Twitter, and also the fan photos as well, from people that were there. So we got a fairly good idea of what was happening in this scene. There was a bit of footage that surfaced online of the Doctor and the Toymaker sort of dancing, and the Toymaker kind of stopping him in the street and everything, and having a little kind of altercation or conversation or whatever. The two of them just kind of standing there in the midst of everything while everyone else was running around and going mad around them. All these citizens and members of the public and shoppers or whatever just kind of running around and going crazy. So yeah, the big question obviously is it the Celestial Toymaker? Now, I've discussed this on the channel loads already, frankly. I think we can be pretty certain it is because of all the hints they've been dropping and stuff, and there were various bits and pieces on the set dressing back in Bristol, the shop front of the toy shop or whatever it was, and things like the clown from the Celestial Toymaker appearing on one of the signs. Various bits and pieces like that. Go back and check the video I did at the time about the filming if you want to kind of get the goss on that, if you haven't heard it already. But yeah, I think I would certainly hope so. I think it'd be a really interesting thing to see, and I think it's one of those things that has gained traction now as a rumor, rightly or wrongly, Very much like the classic Doctor's rumour about Power of the Doctor and the Tennant rumour about third generation and all that kind of stuff. So, you never know, because they transpired, they turned out to be true. You never know, this could as well. I would certainly hope so. And with Russell coming back, and with it being the anniversary as well, it'd be a really nice thing to see. In the vein of like the Great Intelligence coming back for the 50th anniversary year, to have another sort of 60s villain, right from the early years of the show there for the 60th would be really lovely. But either way, yeah, Neil Patrick Harris looks really great here, really, really creepy as this character. And I think we can assume that he's going to be the big bad, sort of connecting all three specials, possibly being responsible as well for whatever's gone wrong with this regeneration, if indeed anything has gone wrong. I mean, it's gone differently, obviously, with the regeneration. Presumably that there is something in the air going on, with that's caused the Doctor, like I say, to get one of their old faces back, and to get new clothes as well, and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, very, very exciting, very, very intriguing with him, and lots to speculate about in terms of who this character actually is, and whether it is the Celestial Toymaker or not. Then we have our first glimpse at something which is a bit more new, something which we haven't seen from location filming and stuff, just because, well, obviously this appears to be a studio set, like a spaceship or space pod, possibly. I mean, personally, I wonder whether this is like the interior of the space pod, which we kind of glimpsed on location at Axminster Road, the street they filmed on for like Donna's house or whatever, where they had the exploding unit truck and all that kind of stuff going on. There was like a park nearby, I think, that they filmed in, with Yasmin Finney and another character, where they sort of go to this alien crash landing site of like a space pod or whatever, presumed to be the space pod of Beep the Meep, Beep the Meep sort of chosen mode of transport there. And it has been pointed out on Twitter and everything that the controls in this particular studio set in this spaceship look very, very low down, almost as if they need to be low down because the space pod belongs to a creature that can only reach so high, Beep the Meep. It would make sense. So very sort of tantalising sort of glimpse here of what could possibly be Beep the Meep's spaceship, which is very, very exciting. Either way, it looks like a great set. And I'm really glad they've sort of given us one or two glimpses like this of the stuff that's been happening in studio that we haven't seen. Because, obviously the stuff on location, we do have a fairly good idea about, or at least we think we do, about what's going on there. But yeah, it's lovely to see something which we had no idea about, which has been going on behind closed doors. And with Donna there in the background as well, and the Doctor's there in the foreground, sort of kind of limboing his way underneath this door, which appears to be going down. So whether or not either one of them is going to end up trapped there or whatever, who knows? There's lots to speculate about. We don't know at this stage. But I think certainly the Beep the Meep possible connection there is pretty likely. And that's quite exciting to think that we have had a glimpse at Beep the Meep's ship at this early stage in proceedings. Then we have this shot of Donna sort of looking quite worried. Maybe something is in this house, because obviously it kind of looks like a house. It would appear to be Donna's house. I think that's safe to assume. Again, probably like a studio set that we haven't seen yet. We've seen the exterior of Donna's house at filming, but not the interior, obviously. And I would probably wager that they have filmed that in a set rather than in the house itself. So yeah, we have Donna there in the foreground, Yasmin Finney very briefly there in the background as well. You can just make out as Rose, like I say, widely presumed to be Donna's daughter. I think that's pretty much a certainty by this point, based on dialogue we've overheard and stuff on sets. So yeah, not much to say about this in particular, but again, very nice to see a glimpse of interior filming, of studio filming that we haven't seen on location. We have another shot of like a studio set or some kind of interior set, like a corridor with lights up on the side, kind of quite narrow corridor, and the Doctor is there running down it. I've seen loads of people kind of pointing out online that this is like a pretty iconic sort of run, unique to the 10th Doctor or unique to David Tennant, and they're very excited to see it back. So yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with that. It's a great shot. Great to see him doing that run again. Very intriguing about where this location could be. I mean, personally, I don't have a clue. It doesn't seem to match up with anything we've seen in terms of the location filming that we know about. So the jury's very much still out on where this could be and how it sort of fits into things. But a fantastic shot of David doing that iconic Doctor run. Very, very exciting indeed. Then finally, a better look at that sort of iconic clip going round from the location filming on Axminster Road of the unit Jeep that sort of goes up into the air and like explodes into a car that's on fire. That massive stunt, you know, that at the time when this was being filmed, you know, footage was going around and people going, you know, wow, that looks absolutely amazing. Like they've thrown more money into stuff this time. They're really going all out on the explosions and the spectacle. Yeah, a really, really exciting looking shot. Again, it's something which we saw on location, but it's great to finally have like a more high-res, high-quality version of that shot now, of that sequence. And yeah, looks really, really quite scary, really dangerous. I mean, I'm sure it was all under control on location, and they kind of took precautions and stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't have personally wanted to have lived in a house on that road when that sequence was taking place. And then last but not least, the first look at our 15th Doctor, our next Doctor, Ncuti Gatwell, which was probably the most surprising moment in the trailer for me. I mean, I wasn't even sure we'd even get a teaser trailer after the Power of the Doctor, and until the continuity announcer actually said it on the night, I was kind of thinking, you know, okay, we'll see David or whoever on Ncuti in the regeneration, but I wasn't kind of holding out hope for a trailer just because of the specials being so long away in advance. But no, we have our first glimpse of him here at this very early stage, which is really interesting because, I mean, there's so many things to say here. I mean, number one, he looks and sounds fantastic here. I love the sound of his voice, that sort of unique accent he's got there with the sort of Rwandan heritage there and the Scottish heritage kind of blending together into this very unique sort of dialect, I suppose, and cadence to his voice. It's a very unique cadence to his voice. So that's incredibly exciting. I love the sort of anger to his voice as well. You know, with someone saying, what the hell is going on here? The kind of, the rage there almost kind of bubbling under the surface. Really, really exciting. And obviously he's got a moustache as well, which I know a lot of people are pleased to see. A Doctor with a moustache for the first time. He's got his black hair back. Because obviously, you know, a few months back when he was announced, he did dye his hair blonde, and there was kind of speculation about whether he'd be having blonde or black hair when he actually appeared on screen as the Doctor. But no, it appears he's going to have the black hair and the moustache, which is great to see. And interestingly as well, he seems to be wearing sort of parts of the 14th Doctor or David Tennant's outfits. You know, he appears to be wearing his white shirt and then his like sort of grey woolen tie as well, you know, albeit untied, but sort of just still round his neck. You know, almost like this could come after, you know, a regeneration scene where the 14th Doctor regenerates into him. Or maybe it's not that at all, maybe it's something completely different and it's something we haven't seen before. Because obviously, like any kind of regeneration scene, you know, from David into Ncuti would, you know, presumably come at the end of the three specials, at the end of the series, at the mini-series, or whatever it's going to be, the season, however it's going to be referred to. So it wouldn't really make sense to include footage of something that we're going to be seeing so late in the run. But I kind of wonder myself, and based on speculation and what people have been saying as well, you know, I think I'm fairly certain that Ncuti has filmed, well, clearly he's filmed this bit already, but I think he's filmed more than this, you know, already. Even though Series 14 isn't meant to be going into production until November, I think that he filmed stuff, you know, bits and pieces for the 60th specials when they're in production over the summer. Now, I know he had other projects on the go as well, you know, like the Barbie movie, like Sex Education, which has been filming recently as well, and whatever else he's been doing. But yeah, I think in between those bits and pieces, in between those projects, he has been doing little snatches and little bits and pieces. I think he's involved in the 60th specials in some way. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, I think whether it is a case of him, like, I don't know, like cropping up from the future, or like the Doctor kind of glitching into him every now and then, you know, David's Doctor kind of glitching into him, and then she's like, you know, tell me what the hell's going on here, or what is this? Why am I sort of moving between these two bodies, these two forms, these two incarnations? Or maybe they are just separate incarnations and they meet each other in some strange timey-wimey way, in some kind of twist. I don't know, but whatever the case, you know, I don't think this is from the third episode, you know, right at the end of the series. I think, you know, we're going to be seeing Ncuti a lot earlier than they would have you believe, and I think maybe the shots in this trailer, you know, this early points in proceedings and in the promotion and stuff, could be a little hint, a little allusion to the fact that is happening. But, you know, we shall see. It could be wishful thinking, it could not. But that's my gut feeling about, you know, what the hell is going on here. And very briefly as well, we have these 4 promo pics released, you know, most of which correspond to the trailer shots, what we've seen in the teaser trailer. So we have a nice high-res shot of David as the 14th Doctor, the first kind of proper image of the 14th Doctor, which isn't like a screenshot from the regeneration scene or anything like that. We then have a proper glimpse at Donna's outfit from the specials as well, which we had seen on location, but again, it's nice to have proper high-res shots of it. We have a lovely new shot of Neil Patrick Harris as the toy maker or someone else, whoever it is, with the graffiti behind and like the flames and stuff in front and the debris and stuff, clearly again from that Bristol shoot. And our first high-res shot of Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor. So again, from that same scene we saw him in the trailer, with the white shirt on, with the 14th Doctor, David Tennant's woolen tie there around his neck, and just kind of looking straight on, very confused, with like all these clouds and stuff behind him. A lot of people have been sort of speculating that perhaps this could be the same location that we saw the 13th Doctor regenerate at, and we saw David there as the 14th Doctor in the final scene of The Power of the Doctor. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he returns there at the end of the specials, or maybe even before he can leave that location, he like glitches into Ncuti or something and then back again. Who knows? I mean, I wouldn't personally put money on it being exactly the same location necessarily. It could be. I can't rule that out. But at the end of the day, it's just like a load of stormy like clouds behind him. That could be anywhere. It could be Durdle Door or whatever, the cliff where Jodie regenerated. It could be somewhere completely different. Who knows? Those are my thoughts on the trailer, my sort of trailer breakdown, and sort of thoughts on the promo pics as well, all of which are really, really lovely to have. Finally some high-res photos and some HD footage, of stuff we've seen on location, but also some glimpses at stuff that was, filmed behind the scenes, under wraps in the studios as well. And no doubt there was so much more stuff and so many more surprises to come from the studio filming that we just don't have a clue about at this stage. Do let me know your thoughts on all this down in the comments below, your thoughts and theories as to what the hell is going on here and all that kind of stuff. And if you have enjoyed this video, I would love it if you'd leave a like down below, and also make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on future 6th anniversary special content in the future. And if you would like to go the extra mile in supporting this channel and the content I make, you can support me on Patreon via the link in the video description. But otherwise, until the next one, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.